Hey everyone, welcome back to the OurSociety Experiment. In this Making the Movement episode, we're going to discuss why it was imperative for us to make our society a non-profit organization. Our Society's vision is a free and open election campaign platform. The problem we're trying to solve is money in politics. So really, in that essence, if we're trying to solve money in politics, having a for-profit corporation do that is almost the antithesis of what the entire movement is about. In a sense, it would just be the complete opposite of what we wanted to accomplish. Because you're tuning into our daily vlog, I will share with you that our initial model was for-profit. We had many more revenue streams built into the OurSociety Experiment until we really started to take a look at really what we were doing. And when I say what we were doing, beyond the product, right? Beyond the OurSociety product, what was the purpose of what we were doing? And in creating a free and open election campaign platform, we realized that we wanted to make sure that there was no potential for corruption, no potential for misuse, and no potential for allegations of wrongdoing due to any sort of financial transaction. Because our society the main purpose, right, is to empower more innovation and more experimentation and to empower people like you to get involved in their communities. Whether it's running for school board or Congress, we wanted to make sure that you would have the opportunity either now or in the future to do that without having to invest your life's fortune or without having to accept corporate and private donations that would in turn put you in some sort of servitude toward those organizations. So when we thought about the for-profit model, it just didn't make sense. Part of what our society does that we're very transparent is, at our core, we are a social good data company. When you sign up for our society and you submit your answers through your social value profile, those answers are fed into a greater pool of answers. Now, those answers are all anonymous. None of our staff can tell that you specifically answered them. It's done through a random string. However, with that said, we are able to aggregate all of that data. We're able to pool it together, and we're able to pull out little trends of data, so to speak, that will kind of help us identify a more collaborative and cooperative national direction. Now, that information gets released to the public. It's not given to anyone ahead of time. So, for example, candidates or elected officials do not get it before our general public users do. It's not sold to anyone. No one has the ability to buy it ahead of time or use it for for-profit purposes. And no one has the ability to pay for any sort of preferential treatment. For example, we would never want a political system online where someone who had the money could have received double the exposure, so to speak, than someone else in your district. Because really what that would be doing is just taking our existing flawed system of politics that has the money problem and just porting it to the digital. We here at our society knew that if we were going to reimagine democracy, we had to do something bold and innovative, something different that would be better for the collective whole. And I think that's really the beauty of our experiment and why, being a nonprofit, our society is officially a non-stock, nonprofit corporation. We're a 501c3 charity because we're also non-partisan. And part of that vision is having a platform that is so successful that we support it as a collective through our government, and it opens up the civic engagement process down from the local level all the way up to the national level to more people to inspire more innovation, creativity, and experimentation within our government. At its core, what we're trying to do is we're trying to follow the current model of the knowledge economy, which is America's most advanced form of production, and apply that to democracy and say if we can decentralize it, because right now you can consider democracy essentially having two vertical integrations, two major parties that control everything from the local level all the way up to the national level that create a number of barriers, whether they be through district drawing or financial barriers or just the incumbent candidate that sits in a position for 40 years. We want to make sure that more people have an opportunity to become involved and that they're not restricted and they're not oppressed by the current system. So by decentralizing that ability to run for office, by removing the financial barriers and putting it in your hands, whether it be for today or 10 years from now, to become more involved without having to bet your life savings on a campaign, that's a really powerful tool, and that's exactly why we wouldn't want it to be for profit in any way, shape, or form. I'll wrap up this Making the Movement with just a consideration, and I'm going to speak from the heart. I hope I'm reaching out to all of you, and especially my fellow millennials, my children of the internet. we should be extremely cautious about allowing our government to become extremely reliant on a for-profit way of communicating with our constituents. That is inherently flawed, and that will only cause challenges for us down the line. Any system of government that innovates and recreates a system of democracy, a way of participating in campaigns and getting to know and connecting with your officials, should be non-profit. We should reject any for-profit attempts to really create a truly integrated system, because by the nature of for-profit companies, they exist to make a profit. And that is not to say, let's be clear, that doesn't mean for-profit companies cannot make phenomenal innovation. We need to look only at Google or Amazon in their logistics innovation and their warehousing innovation, and Apple and their marketing innovation and their usability innovation. I mean, the list goes on. There's a ton of companies that innovate and do a credible amount of social good to push us forward. However, for-profit companies exist to make a profit. And we don't want to. That's really the antithesis of our society, right? Our society is about creating a more open, transparent, and free election campaign platform, free of the burden of financial restriction and free of the burden of having your ability to contribute to your community be determined by your socioeconomic status or your ability to fundraise. Our society brings politics direct to consumer, to you, in your home, through your convenience, so you can make better decisions at your own convenience on your own time. So that really wraps up today's Making the Movement. Thank you so much for tuning in to our journey today, and we'll see you next time.